Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to your daily lighting critique, or thrice a week lighting critique this time. So, just so you all know, I'll be back for the month of February giving critiques. We have new artists coming in March, April, May. I know that our buddy Christos and Linda Chang. Linda's now at Naughty Dog. Christos is at Pixar. We've got some different people coming in to do some critiquing for y'all in the coming months. But for February, you got me. So I am back for this. We've got a bunch of images to go through, old faces, new faces coming in. And we're going to start first with Justin's lighting demo reel. So I love coming into these like a little bit fresh. And I obviously watched it earlier, but I wanted to I always like to give feedback on it, like from my very first take, because honestly, that's usually all you get with a recruiter or a supervisor going through your stuff, is that you kind of get one pass at it. So let me just play it, and I'll talk through a little bit of what we're kind of going through here. So first off, I think your title card is great, nothing fancy. A couple additions I would add. I would put your preferred contact choice on there, probably email address on there, and then leave it on for about twice as long as you currently have it. So it's up. I can't tell from the slider here in Photoshop, but it feels fast. Like if I try and read all of that in real time, I don't get to it, especially like the responsible for lighting at the end. So just it's not necessarily like they already know who you are. They already like have your resume and stuff. And if they want it, they can pause on it. But just like give them an extra beat, because nothing makes me feel more stupid than getting halfway through reading something and having it go away. Like, that means I should have read it faster. Okay, so in terms of the project, I love that you started with this one. I think this is a really strong piece. I would just go ahead and play it through in its entirety. The idea of like breaking it up and bookending it, I wasn't too crazy about. And sorry, now I'm doing the exact opposite thing that I said I would do, which is watch it in real time. But let's do it, because I'm like, okay, cool. And like if I didn't know that the shot continued, I would just think that this was the shot. This one looks great. I think that, is there a little bit of movement on it? I think just because it comes out of a really dynamic, heavy movement shot, it feels very still. I think I would increase it just a little bit. Like normally, I think that your headspace is totally right in being like, yeah, no, just keep it nice and subtle. But I think for that one, I think it could be sped up a little bit. For this one, two things about this. I by the way, I do like the close up and the 2D pan. I think that works. For this one, actually for this one too, I usually don't like to put things over black. It just feels empty to me. So what I do is I would take this image, scale it up, and then blur it and put that behind it, and do the same thing. It's kind of I think Instagram or YouTube or something does that by default, but you can do it here. So like, because really what happens is it changes the appearance of the image. So like putting a black border around something actually makes it appear brighter, which won't make that much of a difference on this one, but it could be problematic for other ones. So for me, it's just a matter of just making sure to fill it in with some value behind it. But that's just personal. I think that was good. This one feels like it might just be. This one feels low res to me. I don't know why. Less so than the other ones. Like the rest of these feel a little bit nicer. This might just be the compression in Photoshop there. So just double check that. Like specifically around the character, it feels like there's a lot of noise coming out of the doorway light. So just check that in what you're in around the headlights as well. So just double check that. Yeah. So what I would do is I would keep your animation all at the beginning. I think the order that you have the rest of the stuff in works out really well. But I think what this is telling me is that I want to bookend it with another animation. So I think for you, maybe I'm not sure if that's in your game plan for what you're going to do next. Also, watch out for the good, and just watch out for the black frame here between them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and yeah, you could get a. You could. Oh, great! Thank you, Abishek. That's awesome. You could get away with potentially because there's not a lot of detail behind them on some of these. You might even get away with blurring it a little bit, a couple pixels. Try it, but it could be like it could just look blurred and then it could be lame. But just a thought there. But overall, good stuff, man. Do you have any other questions? Anybody else have any comments? Yeah, good stuff. All right, cool. Well, I will. Yeah, no problem. All right, we'll start here, and we will work our way through with those that are present with us, and then actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll do that. So we got Kat up next, and then I'll circle back. If anyone's watching this on recording, I will come back to you all after the fact. Okay. All right, Kat. So we've got this animation from you sent me the original one from LinkedIn. Is posted in the channel. So yeah. So talk me through where you at with this. What's the game plan? What you up to? Okay, cool. So we'll, yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Well, no, I think you actually yeah. I think that we'll get there. I think it's right now we're just kind of obviously blocking it out a little bit. But for me, I think a couple things out of the gate. Number one, for this underlighting, it's going to be tough when we see the ground because we're not convinced that there's something actually motivating that. The other thing is that sorry, let me fix this. The other thing is that it will. The other thing about, and again, just talking like broad strokes, getting the character to pop off the background is going to be the tricky one here because their tones are pretty similar in like kind of the browns. So we might have to change the wall color and just like really think about getting the character in there. And then we can use this light to create more of a rim on them, and basically it's just like darkening it back here as well. The one scene that I think of when I look at this is in Rio. I didn't have time to pull it up, but in the first Rio, there's an introduction of the villain bird called Nigel. And basically, it's kind of a similar setup where there's, red lights shining around him, and then there's like a flashlight that rolls underneath him and shines up under him, and it looks really great. I would just check that out for reference. And for this one, for the underlight, to continue this thought, the thing that I would either do is change it to an overhead light, but what I would definitely do is like because it's pretty campy and it's very like theatrical. I would actually darken like everything else, basically, and almost make it like an over the top where this like goes way down, and then just this becomes visible. Just to make it like because there's two ways you can go with like little tricks like this. You can either and that's a little bit too much. But you can either do it where it feels like something really did change in the scene, and it had like a base in reality, or you can make it like over the top. I think like Wes Anderson does a really good job of doing the over the top one too, where it's just like that might be a bit much, but like changing the lighting so it's like it's definitely like because whenever you're lighting for a film or an animation, you're like, oh, this is kind of based on reality. There's a window, there's a lamp over here. But when you do that hard switch and you like kind of, it's almost like breaking the fourth wall a little bit, where you like do a hard switch and do like totally like stage lighting. It can be pretty funny. It can be good. All right, cool. Yeah, keep building, keep going on that. And I will pass. You had a note on substance interface thing. I will pass that along to the engineers on that one. All right, Keldon. Yeah. Oh, really? No, it's no. I think they're good. I th- I think yeah. It's just it was just something about him when I first watched it, like just flashed through a little bit. I think it's okay. But this, I think it looks great. Do you get? I mean, I'll leave it open if anybody else has any comments. Yeah, it just feels it just feels right. Like her skin shader feels great. The speck on her lip feels really good. Everything is just kind of yeah. It's just a homogenized image. The only yeah, if you could do anything about there's like a little bit of moire patterning happening on her shoulder. Like if there's anything you can do about that, I don't think there is. It's just like a yeah. It's just kind of a thing that happens in 3D sometimes. Like we would basically we would if we did it if we had that in the studio we would either have to take that element and render it at a much higher resolution, um, and then or you take it in the comp and kind of it's tough like because she's moving so much. Oh, maybe it is. If it is, I hope so. Oh, easy peasy. Yeah, easy enough solution. It's giving some weird compression thing on it. Um, but yeah, in that case, everything's good. I love like for those watching at home, look at the subsurface like right in here, like just that little bit of red in the skin right around the tip of the nose. Like it just is. It just adds so much to her appearance that it just works really really well. And like little like freckles and stuff on the cheek there. Again, it's skin on a simple character. I would rather do photoreal than a simple character because um, you can add all that stuff heavy-handedly, which is in a simplified one you kind of just have to add it one at a time. Like you have to pick and choose. And so I just think you did a really great job with this. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Stephanie is not here, so I will circle back. Let me go ahead and close some of these so I can make sure to keep things organized. All right. All right. Cool. All right. Ubed is not here. Let's see. We'll circle back. Abishek. All right. So we've got the newer iteration of it. This is the older one. I'm gonna put these on top. So old versus new. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the things that we were working on yesterday that I kind of mentioned was like the saturation on the blue color I felt was a little bit strong. You pulled that back a little bit, and what you can see is now you're getting more variation in here, where it's just like blue before. Like there's getting some subtlety and variation, and that works really well. Um, yeah. So then pushing some more warmth on the center of this, because again this is a warm over cool composition. Just getting that kind of like glowiness to go. That warmth is good. I think there's even room to push that a little bit more. It's a little tough, but I think you can push that warmth just a touch stronger. I still think that yeah, and then in your in the sky, just because I was looking at this and like how nice this composition of the clouds are that help that leading line back to the main subject line, like getting some clouds up around like right up around here in the like just kind of around the mountains to kind of help guide it back would be really good. You were gonna say something? What's that? Oh, yeah, for the clouds? Uh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah. I don't think it yeah, I think that would work okay. Let's see what else. Oh, down here? Yeah, a little bit. A little bit would help. Like, yeah, I mean, look at what we got going on here on these birds. You know, like something like that. Because somebody posted there was an image that was posted yesterday that I thought was unique in that not this one, and that like it's a really beautiful reference image, and like the way that there's like one spot here in the middle like really drives our eye back there, right? But with that comes a problem, is that this background and the foreground a little bit, but mostly the background, we lose a sense of scale. We really, because it kind of flattens out and mushes together a little bit. And often what you see in environment lighting is kind of like little pockets of light going back, and this artist kind of did the pockets effect. So there's like pocket here, pocket there, a little bit kind of coming up, and that makes the space feel more expansive. So there's two different ways of doing it. I'm not saying one's right or one's wrong, but yeah, I think you could probably get away with a little bit of key light here. The other thing to watch out for is, like, I see that there's a nice softening of the light here, and this looks like the edge of a spotlight. But the radius of the light itself could probably increase. Like this on the ground is a little bit sharp, and I'm especially seeing it back here in this mountain. Feels a little bit sharp too. Where in here, like it's only kind of sharp on the very hard edges. Everything else has got a little bit more softness to the shadow quality in some of those areas. Just like, I'm not saying like a lot, but just like a little bit softer. Yeah, yeah. The mailbox, and then the shadows in the mountains. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely increase the radius of that light a little bit. And then I mentioned this yesterday. This one's a little bit trickier. I really, so what's happening is the light is that's not what I want to do. The light is shining in here, hitting the ground, and then bouncing up like really strongly and hitting the undersides of these wood planks, which is cool, but it's really strong to the point like when you look at it back here, it almost looks like there are lines being drawn on it. So what I was mentioning is, and this is a tricky one, but one of the things that you can do is if you're rendering out the indirect lighting as a separate AOV, you can actually separate that out and just lessen that a little bit, because that's like on the house, on the cabin. So just look at doing that. Great. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's great. It's Yeah, because it's basically. I mean, it's what it's doing is real. Like if this was this bright, it would kind of radiate that much. But just in the scale and just the way that we're seeing it, it feels a little bit too graphic. It's not bad. It's certainly not bad. But I think, uh, but it's yeah, just in this context, it's a little bit too strong. Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say it looks a little bit dark in there. You certainly can, but because it's daytime, they won't be too overpowering. Like definitely keep the sunlight the key light. What do you guys think? Does anybody else have any thoughts on this one? Yeah, I think this is coming together well. Like your challenge is going to be, yeah, like you said, like little pockets of light and finding some more shaping in the shadow area. But you've already done a really great job of, again, like just look at getting some of those like subtle warm hues in there work out really well. It just like helps define that space a little bit more. Really good stuff. All right, cool. All right, here we go. Sorry, Bipul. Bipul. Am I saying that right again? I forgot in the time that you. Oh, great. Cool. All right, great. So we've got a double Mr. Bean action going on. So I think this is looking the quality of the light on him is looking really, really nice. I think that the one thing I was thinking, and just, I'm thinking that we might be able to just brighten this, we'll call him bean 1, up a little bit brighter. I know it's kind of a dark over a light situation, but I just think that we can pull his values a little bit more strongly away from this one to kind of get that focus in there. Maybe just a little bit more. Just somewhere more in that. Because what was happening before is that we were losing some of those highlight values, and we want to create that like greater dynamic range in the stuff. And just to give him a little bit more, a little more range overall. You've got some really nice rim light coming in here. I love it that it's kind of hitting his hair. This kind of specular highlight that's subtly on his face is looking really nice. I think that this light might be a little bit too warm. Like it just because there's not a lot of motivation for that. Like I'm not seeing a lot of other warm values. I would neutralize that down a little bit. And then the subsurface on his ear, I would tone that down a little bit. Just because it's a little bit strong. Like this is like the amount of subsurface you get on an ear if there's like a flashlight very close behind. Like especially seeing like this much into it. I think that we can tone that down. Like if we were looking at Keldon's again, that little bit of warm subsurface scattering around the nose, it's about what you want. Just like a subtle hint of that, and then also kind of make that a little bit warmer too. His eyes. This isn't what you're doing. This is just what he is. His eyes end up looking like marbles, and I mean like the eye whites. You can just see a lot of like gray and dark values in there. You might have to go in the comp and just like reduce the contrast on that a little bit, or the reflection, one of the two. Just because they can, it can be a little goofy. Because really what you want is you want them to be a little bit brighter, and then just see if I can reduce this contrast. Again, this is a little bit heavy-handed doing it this way, but contrast down. And then you can actually another good way of doing this too. And by the way, this is very, very bright, but you can also gamut it up a little bit. That'll lift some of those mid-tone darker values. Then I can take this and just kind of layer that over the top. But basically, one way of making that be a little bit, it's a little bright, but is you want to just you reduce the contrast, up the gamma to get those gray values, and then lower the whole thing back down again. Would kind of be my way of doing it. In fact, if I do it this way. Yeah. Sorry, now I'm just fiddling with it. Take this back down. And then we can increase that dark just a little. Anyway. Just to kind of keep that marbly effect down. All right, cool. But yeah, anybody else have any thoughts on this? I think this looks good. I love, this is a subtle one, but the aspect ratio, the kind of the more cinematic quality to it, I think it really helps. It's just like, it just gives it a different feeling than what you're used to. So I think that works out really great. All right, cool. Oh, I do want to mention these real quick before, I think we have, actually, that's a good question. Is there anybody else on live that I didn't get to yet? All right, cool. Let's start going through all the rest. So this is from Donny. This is the very first image from the Power of Light course. So he submitted these two with a similar idea of just like kind of a warm over a cool thing. And I think it's totally true. I think these dark values in the foreground here are helping us like read us back in here. The framing element of this over the top is working out really well. Again, if it was me, and if I was critiquing this shot, I would say we could probably push this a little brighter. And it might just like, because sometimes the things that you got to watch out for with screen captures online is that for whatever reason, I don't know why people do this, but they're like different aspect ratios or just kind of like weird things happen. And sometimes it's like, I feel like that this movie wouldn't have shipped with that kind of lower contrast point, but just getting the skin to pop out just a little bit more would have been cool. And then, but yeah, I think this is really beautiful. We got the leading lines going back between the hose, the legs, just kind of all like leading into this guy. Really cool framing element. Now for this one, I actually haven't had the opportunity to watch Encanto yet. I keep trying to watch it with my kid, but the first sequence is really dark and he gets scared and runs out of the room. But I'm going to get him there. I'm going to get him there because we're going to watch this thing together. But yeah, totally. Obvious point of interest leading back here. Obvious that we're making. This is what I love. So it doesn't, like, there's no way that this is so bright that it would genuinely create this much rim on her. Like that's a lot of light. But what we're doing is, as a lighting artist, you want to build a connection between the character and what she's looking at. So what you do is you emphasize that a little more. And same thing with these guys, is you really want to like visually and emotionally make that connection between the two. And I think it's doing a really great job of that. The background works really well. Getting a bunch of little light hits in here, just kind of creating that central area. Yeah, it's all just really beautiful stuff. Great color palette. I also like getting the subtle variety in these lights. Again, I don't know the story yet, but that makes a big difference too, because then it makes it feel like more of a dynamic scene. So often I see like when people do street or city stuff, it just ends up being like same color street lamp all the way back, and just getting a minor amount of variation within it really, really helps. Subtle specularity on these leaves is really nice. Get some shaping in there. Good stuff. Good stuff all around. All right, Isabella. So beautiful reference. Again, Power of Light submission here. The biggest thing that I would tweak, there's two things that I would work on for you. Number one is just looking at, grab this reference here, is judging the color of what's coming in over here. It feels a little bit more red purple than this one, which is like a truer cyan. And like the resulting color over here is pretty close, but excuse me. But this source the source light is coming in a little bit, like I said, a little bit too much red in there. In terms of the light on the character, this is interesting because like on the surface, if you look at it, you're like, okay, color matches well, positions matching pretty well, but there's something about it where hers feels a little bit softer than what we're feeling here, and I think it might be two things. Number one is the intensity of the light. I think it can come down just a touch, and number two is I think that we're seeing this. We're seeing the edge of this light, where on her, it's like you can see the fall off here, but it's much more subtle. So I think I would soften this a little bit more. So decrease the light intensity, soften that a little more. I think the radius of the light might be okay. I think so, but I would just do those two things. Yeah, but like I love that you're seeing, and then just take down that light right there a little bit. It's a little bit strong compared to that. But I love that you, like, again, totally love that you're recognizing that and you're able to identify that. So really cool stuff. All right. And then, all right, cool. So we've got Stephanie here. All right, great. This is the newer one, and then we've got the older one as well. So yeah, I think this is looking really cool. Like, we're starting to really feel that the drone light. The big thing that I would do is, I think that we can probably darken a little bit what's going on this side. I think that, yeah, I think we could, I think pretty much just to kind of help us focus in, like everything over here, I would darken down a little bit. And then the other thing that I would do from a storytelling standpoint in the lighting is you really, again, and this kind of went off the other image that we were going from, is that we really want to make this guy feel like he's in a sense of danger. So right before, what I want is the light to be brighter on him at the end. I want it to feel like it's like problematically close to him, and then that'll also amplify up when the door shuts, because I really want that to be brighter too. Like I want this to almost like kind of like, this is a bright light source close to it. I almost want that to get the point of blowing out to be being white. And then for this light, if there's any way of creating variation in there, just because it looks a little bit graphic, it just feels like a rectangle, like making the central part of it a little brighter, as if there's a tube light back in there. Let's play it. Do you guys have any thoughts on this one? Yeah, good stuff. Very, very cool. All right, great. All right, Ubed. Yeah. All right, cool. Last one. We got Ubed. Sorry about your first name thing, man. The U puts you at the end. All right, we've got these 5 images. Very, very cool stuff. This is for a challenge. I believe you said it was on ArtStation. I don't know of it. But the one thing that I saw when I looked at this one, I thought this was really cool. I love the color palette that you have. You always do a really good job with color palette. I think like this image is looking really, really nice. With this one, I don't like, these feel like lasers coming out of this character's eyes. But the resulting light that happens over here feels like a nice, like she looks like she's in danger by her pose, but I don't feel it. Like I feel like she's just kind of in a soft, basking, warm light that isn't a natural color, but I think what we could do is, what I'd like to see is basically more effect of these lasers, like kind of like sharp little circles, or like things that would indicate that this guy is really bearing down on her. It's the same thing that we were just looking at with Stephanie's. Just kind of implying that. This shape over here, like at first I thought it was a shadow, but I actually think it's something like painted on the wall. It's a little... It doesn't look like paint because it's semi-transparent. It doesn't look like dirt because the patterning isn't quite right. I think I would rework that a little bit if you have time. So again, this one, I think the color is working out really well. I would push maybe a little bit of this orange light a little bit more on these things if you can. Just like, but like in a really subtle way, just to get like a little bit of rim on them, because this is really beautiful. Just that mix of colors looks great. This one, I almost want to desaturate that light back there a little bit. Just like a little bit, kind of like in that range. Just because it's a little further away from camera, allow the saturation of that stuff to kind of pull forward a little bit. That's looking really good. This barrel, watch out for this one. I don't know if this is by design, but that barrel looks like it's penetrating the ground there. So you may want to just look into that. The same thing with the laser on this one. But again, like the integrating of that light on the side looks really great. The amount of light that's hitting this thing looks really great. Yeah. Anybody have any thoughts for Ubed? Yeah. They're just like fun color palette. The stuff I'm giving you is just minor detail stuff. Like, strong. Good stuff, guys. All right, cool. Well, that is all that we have for today. For those that are new, like I said, I post all these to our YouTube channel, and I'll post the link in our work in progress and feedback channel. And then I will be back Friday to do another video, but tomorrow, same thing. Have your stuff posted by 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'll put out a reminder again in the morning, and I'll do written critiques on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then video critiques Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So, all right, you guys be good. I will talk to you all soon. All right. See you guys. Bye.